Hello everyone, I'm Steve. Mark's working late tonight, and this is Smokey Steve and Mark. Welcome or welcome back. And happy Thursday. We're almost at the weekend. We're getting there. So, today I wanted to do part 4, almost probably part 5, in a series I'm doing about caretaking. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen part 1, 2, 3, or the kind of bonus episode about exploiting people, the premise of this is that there's a channel that I follow. Um, that I've been following for years, actually. And it's a couple, male female couple, and there's an age difference in the couple. One of the partners is almost elderly, and then the wife is in her like almost 50. So, and they have a YouTube channel, and one is sick at the moment, and the elderly one is sick, and the wife is not. And one of the reasons I used to love watching their channel is because, they reminded me of me and Mark a little bit. Mark and I are kind of a May-December romance. We have a little bit of an age difference. We're also YouTubers. We also kind of like to put details of our life out there. We're not too shy. And watching the transition that they're having because an illness has crept up rather suddenly, sort of suddenly in their life, 9 months, maybe a year, this has been going on, it made me think, what would I want for Mark to do for me if hypothetically I were to get ill? So we're just talking in generalities here. Nothing specific, no finger pointing. It's just if certain circumstances were happening, and I'm drawing inspiration from my imagination, from some real life things that have happened to me, from things I've observed. So this is just, again, I'm just thinking out loud here. So when we last left off, we were talking about what it might be like if I were ill and Mark was the caretaker. And up to this point, if you've been following the series, Mark has been pretty much calling all the shots, and arguably it may not be going so well. Up to this point, I'm living with a cancer diagnosis. For the sake of argument, we were calling it esophageal cancer, and Mark was making decisions about whether or not I should have chemo or surgery. Chemo went first. I started to get a little bit better. Mark wanted to have surgery because he believed that they'd be able to just do the surgery and I'd be fine afterwards. He wasn't really informed, for whatever reason, of the full scope of it and the recovery time and everything. So, I come back home. Mark wants to take care of me at home. Frankly, I'm not thrilled about being in the hospital. So we come home and Mark's taking care of me. Mark has to deal with the fact that I have a feeding tube, that I need help getting up, that other things are going on. And at first, he seems to be taking it in stride. Then there was a complication that came up, and apparently, unbeknownst to me, because I'm just trusting that Mark has taken all his directions from the appropriate places and is not winging it, I was in some pain. I have a feeding tube. I'm not supposed to really have too much by mouth besides sips of water, maybe. Mark wants to give me a pain pill. Okay, whatever. I'm assuming he knows how to do it. And he crushes it up in some applesauce and he gives it to me. In theory. And it goes down. And at that point, Mark, he had called a doctor to check on this. And from that point on, I'm having applesauce every day, which is good. It tastes good. I haven't eaten in a long time, so good. Hey, bottoms up. It seems to be going down smooth. And then there's a complication or two, and not really sure kind of what's going on. So I end up back in the hospital. And I'm not really sure why, and I'm not sure what happened. And, Mark's not really sure what happened, and we get there. And let's just say that maybe it wasn't the best idea to have some applesauce. That as it came out, that wasn't a good shooting from the hip kind of move to just decide on, I guess, the amount that he was feeding me. But I'm in a position where I'm kind of weak, I'm kind of feeble, and if in this scenario that I'm painting for Mark and I, if I'm trusting him to make all the decisions for everything, I need to be able to trust that he's going to do the right thing by me, for me. He's my partner. He's my power of attorney. So if I become unable to speak or state my own wishes, which is irrelevant because I will just do whatever he wants anyway, because I'm afraid of him and I'm frail and fragile, and he's a control freak. So, in theory. And at this point, I go into the hospital, I get checked out. Lo and behold, I've ripped a stitch, we'll say, because sips of water means sips of water, and not other stuff. And there was need to be a surgery, a couple surgeries, actually, to correct what Mark had done. Mark took zero responsibility for it. Basically said it was the doctor's fault, it was this person's fault, it was that person's fault. I know what portion sizes are. Like, so that whole thing where his choices, rogue choices, almost killed me, doesn't seem to be bothering him. So we do it for, let's say, for example, we have a friend, because Mark and I actually, aside from my family, we have some like coworkers and friends. This is real life, but we don't have a ton of like friends. Like, we don't have people over to the house and stuff like that. But let's say, for example, I did have a friend who was able to come help us, and because Mark does have a real life, and in this scenario, a bit of a disability where sometimes he can't move things, he can't lift things, and if I need help getting up out of a chair, and I need to get into the shower, and I need to get here and there, and if he can't do that for me, it doesn't matter. It still has to happen, or I'm going to get sick, I'm going to get worse. Bed sores, poor hygiene can lead to all sorts of other stuff. So we bring in some help to do that stuff. And it seems kind of like that person is doing stuff for Mark equally as much as they're doing stuff for me. I thought they were supposed to be there to help me out, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. So there was a decision made on our channel, in theory, because Mark and I have, the channel that you're watching, that we're not going to show any more of my medical stuff, because our viewers, you guys, in theory, you guys aren't like that, but if you were, are being bad people are watching the videos, and they want to have me taken away from Mark. They want to have me and Mark homeless. And it's only 2 people. Even though there's 150 dislikes on a video, they all generate from the same 2 people. And that giant blog where people talk crap on Mark and I, that there's like 800 pages of, it's 2 people talking to each other. So we're trying to put all that out of mind. I would hope, because it's irrelevant. Right now, I would hope Mark's priority is me, my health, and how we're doing. Frankly, I would like to be doing a few less videos, truth be told, because I can barely breathe. But this is Mark's project. This is what he likes to do. As soon as we even talked about having a diagnosis, let's say, in theory, one of the first things Mark said is that he didn't want to give up the channel. So we come home and we make the decision. No more medical talk, no nothing. Too many nosy people, too many hands in the pot, no more. And the next video is, like one of our usual unboxings or Mark cooking or something like that. And those are fun and people like those. But I think at this point people are watching to see how this kind of all unfolds. So the very next video is 20 minutes of Mark pulling at my tubes. And I can't get up and move, and I can't get up and go anywhere. And I'm a yes man because I'm at his mercy at this point. And people hate watch. And people are hate watching us because they don't approve of how Mark's taking care of me. And they notice things like Mark dropping tubes on the floor and not cleaning them before picking them up, and other stuff like that, and it draws concern. People express concerns about the way, for example, hypothetically, Mark talks about the nurses or the doctors, about how they don't know anything and how it's all about money and X, Y, and Z. And how maybe I don't need oxygen during the day, I only need it at night, even though I've only smoked for 50 years. And just went through major surgery twice. One that could have been avoided. So we aren't going to show any medical stuff, and then we're showing all my medical stuff. And then, again, people get nosy, and some people who mean well, and some people who hate us, and some people who, frankly, I wish we would listen to. I'm just looking for inspiration, if you'll excuse me. So, trying to get back just to the business of life, but I'm still in this scenario, I always act like Mark's here. He's usually here. He's over here. I'm still not getting out of being in videos. I'm always in them. And I'm sure if you asked Mark, he would tell you I wanted to be. And he would probably say, right, Steve? Right, Steve? You want to be in the videos, don't you? I'm sure you do. He likes being in the videos. Don't you, Steve? And stare at me until I say something. So that's not coercive or anything, right? So I'm still in videos. I'm still here. I'm still, out and about. Still asking for stuff. Still asking for stuff. Dropping hints left and right that we need things. People have been very generous to us in this hypothetical situation. A lot of things that we had needed did come to us. Some, I think, out of the kindness of people's hearts. So I don't know how I feel about Mark putting it out there that we can't afford these things. It's one thing to accept people's generosity. It's another to pretend that you can't afford the things you need. I would gladly accept a case of cat food. I can go buy my own, though. I'm not telling you I can't afford it, so please send it to me, or implying that you should send it to me because I can't afford it. I can afford my own cat food. But why should I pay for more when I can have yours for free? And all I have to do is cry poor, in theory. So, at a certain point, again, it comes to a head that medical decisions will not be discussed on our YouTube channel anymore at this point, because people are getting too nosy anytime anything about my health is brought up. People have comments about it, because it's a comments section. People have comments. Mark's gotten very hardcore in this scenario about deleting comments that are the slightest bit in disagreement with anything that doesn't praise his care of me. People leave comments saying I look better, which is encouraging. I think it's always a nice thing to tell someone who's sick they look better. It's one of the only times I think it's okay to lie. But we decide that we're not going to talk about my medical stuff anymore because people are giving suggestions that Mark is taking and they don't work, and he's getting mad and he doesn't like the doctor's suggestions, so we're going to do it our way now. So now Dr. Mark is going to be prescribing how much feed I'm going to be taking, and when I'm going to get it, and how it's going to be given to me. He's going to be dictating all of that. And he's not going to mention anything else ever again because he doesn't care to be second-guessed, apparently, in this scenario. So, I am officially out of help. Anybody at this point who could intervene can't intervene. And I'm at Mark's mercy. Whatever he does, he does. No one's going to correct him. No one from the AMA. Nobody who's gone to school for 10 years. It's concerning to me that he would take any suggestions from the comments section. If someone online tells you they're a nurse, are they or aren't they? I don't know. Not everyone on YouTube has the best of intentions. So I don't know. But again, at this point, I don't have it in me to fight him. I'm just assuming that he's going to take care of me because he loves me and wants what's best for me. So now he's going to put a lot of time into the channel. And so we're going into like a card exchange. Something really important. Something that really trumps the rest of my concerns at the moment. Allegedly. So in this thing, what is the lesson here? What is the lesson? Beyond just, kind of transposing some inspiration from one place into a hypothetical of what Mark and I might do when we're with each other. Because it does kind of paint a picture of a partner who is very controlling, who wants to control the situation, who does seem to care about the other who is ill, but feels like they need to be in control of the care for the person to the degree that they would refuse medical treatment, not even take suggestions from a doctor or someone who knows what they're talking about. Um, but doesn't also seem to have the humility to say, I was wrong, I don't understand, can you please help me do this? Um, that's a challenge. That's a challenge to getting appropriate help. I ain't too proud to beg myself as far as help. I don't know nothing. For the same reason, I wouldn't want to have, a plumber come in and put a roof on the house. I wouldn't want to have Mark, deciding how much feed I'm going to get. Or I wouldn't, and I particularly don't like it when he calls me a baby on camera. I don't think it's endearing. I think it's demeaning. I'm his husband. Don't call me a baby. So, I guess the lesson from this is, at the moment, is it goes to Mark kind of, I wouldn't say exploitation. We had kind of talked about that in another side video about taking advantage of a person who's ill. I think it's more about what's the end game? What's the end game to all of this? What's going to happen if Mark has now decided to isolate me, not only from my family and friends, but also from the medical professionals who are supposed to see me, and who are supposed to be looking after me. And he's going to go by, I don't know, the comments section and maybe Dr. Google to try to figure out how to take care of me. And I'm too afraid to say anything about it. It's just going to play out. It's going to play out like any other person who has a serious condition, who is post-op after stage 3 cancer, and is being cared for by a non-professional who's relying on their smartphone to make decisions in this scenario. So, is there a hope shot in this for any of us? Well, Mark and I are learning that this hypothetical situation that he and I are dealing with is not what we want for ourselves. We are drawing up documents. I already had a mental health advance directive, and I did name Mark for that, but that gets voided once I'm competent again. So unless I go off the deep end for good, he's not going to be able to make long-term, forever decisions about that. And then thinking about other documents. Mark and I aren't married, so technically it would go back to probably my parents who would have to make decisions for me should something happen. There's issues in some states. I mean, if I was in the hospital, they might not even let Mark in because he's not even... I mean, I think one time I told the hospital Mark was my brother, so they let me in to go see him. So sometimes you have to make crap up like that. It's the same-sex thing. I know, we could just get married. It would just be a lot easier. But, so what we want for ourselves, if one of us was ill, is different than what, say, they want for themselves. And that's their life and it's their choice. It's also being broadcast on YouTube, so it is open to discussion. And I've found it to be an inspiration. I'm not saying good, bad, or it gave me any epiphanies, but following it has kind of made me think, if that was me, if I was the one who was sick, if I was the one who was in charge, who would I listen to? Where would I get my help from? What kind of help would I refuse? What kind of discussions would we have about the kind of help that was needed? Who do we tell it to? Would I want to broadcast on YouTube if I had cancer? Would I want people to know? Would I want Mark to tell anybody about it if I wasn't around? So there's a lot of questions that surround it. And I'm sure the situation isn't unique. This can't be the first time a person with cancer was on YouTube. I know there's other vloggers that do it who are survivors, some who've passed away. I've seen other ones there as well. So this isn't novel. What might be novel is the transparency that I think is usually hidden, but is so out there. The rawness, the realness, and the people take open season to give a lot of feedback and a lot of criticism. And I think because the comment section on this particular channel is so limited and so moderated, people find elsewhere to go to share their negative opinions and their negative thoughts. And that's why there's other places people congregate to talk about it. So why do I feel like I have any business weighing in? Because it's on YouTube. Because it's on YouTube and I watch. And it's it's something to comment on and it's something to talk about. And it does have a little bit of a deeper meaning. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. This really did make me think about long-term decisions and what I would want and what I would want Mark to do for me. So there is a little bit of wisdom in there somewhere. So thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe. Hit the like button. You can follow Mark and I on Facebook at SmokeySteveAndMarc or on Instagram at SmokeySteveAndMarc. Our email address and contact info is all listed below. Thank you all for watching. Tune in tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Mark and I are going live tomorrow night, Friday, 9 Eastern Time. So stop by and say hello if you feel so inclined. Thanks for watching. Bye.